Hello, hello. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. Thanks for everybody for joining me. Um, I would love if everyone could like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully you get something out of here tonight. Um, I would love to thank my mods in advance for everything that they do for me. Um, But I'm not gonna waste too much time. I'm gonna get this story out of me that I have in me for tonight. And hey everybody, I'm just seeing everybody in the chat because I know after once I start telling the story, I'm gonna try to stay out of the chat because I don't want the my story to go left because I'll be all over the place. Um because sometimes stories run into each other when you're telling them. So I don't want to run into a whole bunch of different stories. Hello, 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 everybody. Hello, hello. Thanks for coming and joining me. I'm going to get it started very shortly, but I want to say before I start this one, I always like to start out by saying that though I'm telling stories about things that happened to me when I was a child, and it had a lot to do with my mom. I do not hate my mom at all. I absolutely love my mom, but these are true stories that happened in my life, and I'm here to talk about them so maybe somebody can not make the same mistakes or whatever it is that you get out of it. So, but I'm here to tell my story. I've thought about other people a lot in my life, and now it's just this is my story, so I'm telling it. Um, I'm gonna say too that while I'm telling the story, I won't be looking in the chat. I will look through the chat after I finish telling the story because again, I don't want to be running all over the place with telling this story. And this is a story that I need to get off of me tonight. So again, I say hi everybody and thanks again for joining me. And I'm just going to start with my story. Um the first time that I realized um as an adult um was I remember as a little girl we had our second we were living in very excited about it. And one thing that I can remember is from time to time my mom would allow me to take the rent check. And I remember at that time knowing what I know now that the rent was $19. So I knew today as an adult it has to be some kind of like assistance or housing or something like that. Um and that lasted for a long time. And one day we we moved. We moved with my grandma. And nothing was really explained to me, but now thinking back on it, I know exactly what happened. Um we moved in with my grandma and the first night, no, I don't even want to jump that far yet. I'm going to go back some because now as an adult, when I look back and think about what actually happened in the process was if you are with someone and you have a baby, there is the point that if you're getting assistance from the government that you must cooperate. You must cooperate with DCF, who you know whoever it is that you getting services from. And if you don't, they do this thing they call sanction you. So um, couldn't think of any other reason why we moved out of our place that we were doing so good and my mom had a job, everything was going great. And looking back at that night, but knowing now what I know is that if you don't cooperate with DCF, then they will sanction you. She had already given birth to one child with him. And at this time mhm, we were heading to child number two. Um, but at this time I didn't recognize what was going on as a child, but as an adult looking back at it and seeing it, making everything make sense now, I can see absolutely what happened. So that first night that we moved out, and in with my grandmother, because my mom decided not to cooperate with them to save him from being put on child support. We moved in with my grandmother and I slept in the bed with one of my aunts. And I went to sleep And when I went to sleep, I remember falling asleep. It was only me in the bed by myself like that. And then it's like you touch somebody. And it's like I open up my eyes and like to see. And on the side of me, there's a naked man smoking a cigarette. And he laying between me, that's an 11-year-old, and my auntie on the other side of him. And I woke up startled, like, who in the heck is this in the bed? And so I had that thought the other day of just how many things it is that happen based off of trying to save this man from being on child support and how much it was costing me. Took me out of my safety, put me in situations like this right here with people who was well over 10 years older than I was. Um, but this was one of the things that my mom was willing to give up our housing to save this man that ultimately ended up not being there for anything. And I know at this point, if I go any further past this point of the story, it's gonna be never ending. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna look in the chat and let this conversation go where it may go. Hi, Feed. Thank you for joining. I got some new people up in here. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining. I'm here and I'm learning every little thing here, so bear with me. Hi, everybody. It's Shauna New from VS Chat. Girl, I love you living in your truth. Speak up. It is so motivating. Thank you very much for coming in and sitting and listening to my stories. I mean, before I used to just go and sit off by myself and do it, but I kind of like having conversations and conversations and everything with everybody. So um every now and then I will choose to do a live to come on and speak about it instead of just sitting behind the camera. Some things I just want to be by myself when I talk about it, and I don't mind posting about it because all the things that I've been through, I rather them not have been gone through in vain. That maybe I can put it out here and then somebody can pick it up or hear it and it sounds familiar to what they're going through and maybe make a different choice instead of going down this same path. Because if I have a story, then all kids have a story behind what it is. What do you want your story to be able to be? Um, that your kids tell, as they get older. Um, ooh, hello everybody. Hey VS, how you doing? Um, but other than that, I really this is something that's for past couple of days. So I said, let me go ahead and tell this story and get past it because it is it is like the beginning of like what I go back and look at and say, at what point did I feel like that I look back on my childhood and say that I start have feeling well feeling um you said as Fee says, as an adult, even when I look back on some things my parents did was crazy. So did you ever know dad? Did he come around? Are you Fee, when you ask that, are you speaking of my dad, or did my dad come around? Hi host chat and mods. Hello, VS Icon. I'm glad that even though you have been through a lot, you still have been forgiving. Shay Griffin, I absolutely try to be forgiving. As I'm telling these stories, like I don't feel hate for any of these people. But again, too, in the place that I am right now, I haven't came face to face with any of these people to know how I would react. So um I'll be wanting to feel before I say I forgive somebody, I'll be wanting to know like I feel like until I see them face to face, I don't know if I could give them um total if I have total forgiveness, or I don't even really know what you call it. It's just I don't know for sure if I have like forgiven them, but the whole angry thing, probably if they came back and was like that didn't happen or something like that. I hate when I'm telling the truth and then somebody try to tell me that it ain't real. That's annoying. Oh, my dad. Yes, my dad was around. He was a workaholic. He did a whole lot of working, but my dad was not in the home. Um After he had me, my dad married someone else, and he had another family. I spent time with him and everything, but for whatever reasons, things happened I wasn't comfortable with talking to him about a lot of those things. I don't think I ever told my daddy anything like that. So as a matter of fact, not that I think, I know I didn't, because wrote my first letter to my daddy after um I start to deal. So he was around but not around. He was a workaholic. He was doing his thing. So um yeah, and again, so but the same way, like I'm telling the story about him, I about my mom. Um I've given the different she's not here for me to talk to her about it, and my mom knew how I felt about her. I knew what kind of relationship we ended up having. But these are things that I hear about, that people talk about in everyday passing of me, that I hear about. And so I was thinking to myself, why not tell the other side of it? People tell the side and try to glamorize it and everything. But no, I was a child in that position, and I remember everything that happened to me because of the situations that we was in. I definitely understand, because sometimes people try to make you feel like they haven't done anything wrong to you to try to save face instead of just acknowledging what they did affected you. Absolutely. And I've been called crazy 1,001 times because after a while, once you do start trying to tell your story and somebody trying to tell you that your story don't go the way that your story go, um at a certain point, it absolutely drove me nuts when somebody does. So I'll be there forever and a day. And if I have to go back and tell the whole story, I'm gonna go back and tell the whole entire story, and I'm gonna make everybody remember where you. I know where you were sitting at. I know what kind of look you had on your face when everything was going on in the room. I can give every detail on it. So no longer do I sit around and just let somebody try to change the story that I got. No, I'm gonna make you remember what was happening on that day while we was in that room. So, hi, Money McCray, how are you? Yes, welcome in everybody. I thank you all for joining me. Um, yes, and again too, I want to say that this aunt too that I'm talking about, I don't hold any hate for her or no nothing. But these are my stories. I'm gonna tell them. And in the back of my mind, I want to say I hope they forgive me, but there's no forgiveness that needs to be given on my behalf because it was done to me as a little girl. So um and the reason I have to tell it because the thought actually runs through my mind as this naked man is laying in the bed between me and my auntie. How would she know if he touched me or not? I don't even have the answers to that because I can sleep pretty hard, but he's laying in between me and you and he's naked and you're there naked. And so it's like, what do you know what he's doing with his other hand over here on this side? So at this point is whatever somebody has to take from it, whatever their accountability is, that's their accountability. Um and if I have anything to take accountability for, I don't mind taking accountability for that. But yeah, I'm not asking for anybody's forgiveness at this point. So this was a really short story, and I don't want to go any further than this one right here because if I move on to the next thing, it just open a whole bunch of doors to a lot of other things that I ain't really ready to discuss. So I'm gonna come on and I'm gonna give short episodes of different things that was happening because of this one situation over and over and over again. And so I want to be able to tell the story of what happened from my point of view, from what I know that happened, instead of somebody telling what they think might have happened. And I know the people that really knew my mom, every one of them will have good things to say about her. But this ain't about whether it's good or bad things. This is about my story, about what happened to me. Yes, she was a good person, and yes, she had flaws, and I absolutely loved her. But again, this is my story, and I must tell my truth because then that way, that's the only thing I feel like I get. The only way I feel like I get relief is by giving my story that could possibly help change the way somebody else is going down that railroad track. Um, I love your content. I am so happy that you're setting yourself free. You don't need permission to tell your story. Tell it all. It's healing. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been trying to get over for a long. What took me so long is to tell it is because I considered everybody else. Before I started talking about the things that I talk about, I basically went to just about every and anybody that I thought was was very important to me um before I started telling any of my stories. So I've gotten past that part, given considerations where I probably shouldn't even thought of giving it, but I did it anyways. It's my process that I go through. I'm an overthinker on everything. You you do not need to apologize. This is your story. Tell your story so you can heal and help someone else who are going through this or has been through it. I totally enjoy it. This makes me think back. Thank you. Great content. Um, and again, I appreciate you all for showing up for my short stories that I'm gonna tell. And one day we'll do a Q&A on the stories that I've already released. So then somebody can, you know, get your questions together. We can go back over the old videos and everything, and you can ask questions from the stories that I've already told. And until, I figure out how else I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna come on here and tell my stories when I feel like I might be back again tonight. It's according to what jumps inside of me, and what memories thing dig up. And also I'm reading through my journals right now, which also brings up memories of things that was happening back then. But there's a lot that happened. This story runs very, very deep, and it ran on for some years, even after my mom passed away. Is That's when a lot more of the stuff got dumped onto me. So I would love for you all to stay tuned and continue to listen to my story. And if you haven't gone back and watched my older videos about this story and how we get to this point, then take a little bit of time and go back and see the other videos and things, to check out where this story has gone and where it's heading to, and make it make sense. Again, I appreciate everybody for coming through for this brief live, and keep on showing me some support, and I'm gonna give it right on back to y'all. Thank you again. Again, let me see. Let me check again before I go out of here. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't see anybody else saying have any other questions in the chat. So right here I'm gonna end this live, and I'll see y'all the next time I step on the place. Um and I do be reading through y'all comments and stuff and some of the videos and everything. I just don't have the time and to go and answer every single one of them. So, but just know I'm I'm reading them, and thank you all for all the prayers and everything that you all give to me. Actually gives me strength to keep on going and putting it out there, and helping others. Again, good night, you all, and thanks for joining me.